Welcome to our 2018 Salary Guide webinar. I'm David Brown, and I am the CEO for Hayes US. Just a little bit about me. I've been in the recruitment business for over 20 years now in several different fields, but with the vast majority of that having been spent in the IT arena. As previously mentioned, we blocked out about 30 minutes today to go over our 2018 guide and more specifically some of our key findings. We will reserve some time at the end of the program to answer any questions that you may have, so please feel free to send your questions via the chat function on the WebEx tool at any time during the program. So a little bit about Hayes US and specifically our IT division. We have over 160 consultants based in 11 offices around the country. We have contractors working in 31 states currently, so we have a broad perspective on what's happening in the industry. Hayes US also recruits in construction and property, life sciences, and accounting and finance areas, so that gives us an even bigger picture view of national hiring patterns. So I also have on this call, on a call with me today, one of our area vice presidents within our IT business, Connie Chason. Connie, over to you.
Thank you, Dave. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Connie Chason. Like Dave, I have a little over 20 years in the recruitment industry, some in different disciplines, but mostly on the IT side of the equation. And I currently oversee Hayes IT offices in two of the largest staffing markets in the U.S., Atlanta and New York. For this webinar, I'll be focusing on hiring insights in the tech and IT industry, while Dave will provide a high-level overview of the entire market for 2018 and coming into 19. Dave will start off with a presentation by introducing our new salary guide. Dave?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Connie. So many of you have seen our IT salary guide last year and our market trend guides from years before that. We've made some changes this year to the report, and I'm happy to say that this edition marks our first all-market guide looking at national trends in 5 key sectors. We had more than 3,000 respondents speak into this year's survey. They provided us with all the key data points around salary data and hiring trends, which in turn allowed us to come up with our recommendations for you based on this information. So we'll go ahead and start with some of the key findings for the market. Next, we'll focus on hiring trends in technology and IT, including what's the most in-demand technical skill sets. And finally, we have some insights to help you compete for local talent. So here are some key metrics from this year's guide. Overall, I'd say that we're looking at another very busy year. That came through loud and clear from all of our respondents. There were 55% of employers saying the economy will strengthen in the next 6 to 12 months. 64% of employers say business activity has increased throughout 2018, and 51% of employers have increased full-time headcount in 2018. So some of the key factors to that. The number one factor driving growth in 2018 will be evolving technologies shared across multiple industries. The second point should come as no surprise that 78% of employers say they suffer from a moderate to extreme skill shortage, and 98% of employers say the skill shortage is directly affecting their business outlook. So I'll start at the top with business activity and economic outlook, and then we'll look at how that's affecting hiring plans and compensation. So overall, confidence in the U.S. economy remains very strong amongst employers, with more than half predicting continued growth in the next 6 to 12 months. The U.S. economy shows no signs of slowing, and that expansion has meant continued business growth across the board. Over half of employers predict another strong year for the economy, and nearly 3/4 predict business activity levels to increase in the coming year. The industries most likely to say business activity will be increasing were construction and property and information technology, which is not surprising given what we see on a daily basis with the number of construction projects in our key hubs and the continued investment through all sectors in the technology world. So the downside to all of this increased activity is that it's becoming more and more difficult to find the right people to fill the specific roles. 78% of employers are experiencing a moderate to extreme skill shortage. This has a direct impact on business, with 98% of respondents saying it is impacting their business outlook. 19% said that it is directly impacting their productivity, and 10% said that they can draw a direct correlation between the skills shortage and missed profits. Bottom line is, this skill shortage is not conceptual anymore. It's actually impacting the profit of companies. So that's enough of the high-level overview. I'm going to hand it over to Connie now to talk through some of the details of the report. Over to you, Connie.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So Dave spent a few minutes talking about a high-level overview of the market. Now let's take a closer look at some of the specific hiring trends in the IT technology space. Certainly all the market optimism Dave mentioned is great, and it is having a direct impact on this year and next year's hiring plans. For example, last year 41% of IT employers increased permanent headcount and 39% increased contractor workers. For 2019, the plans are even more positive on the full-time side, with 48% of employers adding more full-time workers, and on the contract side, 43% of employers plan to retain those contractors that were hired last year, and an additional 33% of companies plan to further grow their flexible workforce. Given the growth in the market, this is not surprising, but when you combine it with the skills shortage that Dave mentioned earlier, it will create an ongoing challenge towards finding the right talent for your organizations, whether you're looking for full-time employees or for contractors. To set the foundation for our study, we asked organizations about their hiring priorities for the next 6 months. They cited 3 key areas. Moving to the cloud remains top of mind, followed closely by security and business intelligence and data science. When compared to last year, employers rated security as the most important than cloud, but overall the top 3 remain the same, with cloud services, security, and business intelligence remaining most consistent over the past 3 years. So let's take a quick look at the IT areas that will likely see the most hiring in 2019. We broke the results into 2 categories: full-time and contract hiring. In full-time hiring, we see application development as a significant area for hiring, and then other big areas will likely be cloud and traditional infrastructure, along with projects, change management, and business intelligence. On the contract side of the equation, we see much of the same type of priorities, with application development leading the pack as well at 32%, followed by cloud infrastructure, projects, change management, business intelligence, and adding to that grouping, testing. Next, we asked about salary increases for full-time IT professionals. As you can see here, there's an overall healthy range of pay increases, with the majority of companies recognizing compensation as a strategy to retain employees and therefore offering salary increases from 3% to more than 5%. However, this chart doesn't tell the whole story, which is that for both contingent and full-time roles is an enormous amount of wage pressure in areas with a shortage of skilled IT professionals. Let's take a look at where more of the pressure is being felt. So we looked at wage pressure overall. There is some clear overlap where employers see high priority areas for hiring, as well as you see these top 5 areas with wage pressure, again, being highest in application development at 59%, followed by the others we noted earlier. If we look at the roles employers said were hardest to fill, again, there is some overlap. Application development is one of the most sought after areas within tech this year, and it's not surprising to see this. That is the most challenging to hire for. As we previously mentioned, most of these skills are also top hiring priorities for companies in 2019. That's an overview of the business hiring and compensation trends we're seeing. Let's go ahead and take a level down and talk a little bit more about specific hiring challenges employers are reporting and actions you can take to overcome them. So we asked IT employers about the skills shortage hiring challenges and how they're recruiting. Let's look at the results. Before we look at hiring, we need to understand what the main motivators are for people to leave a company. Number 1 ranked job seekers and current employees told us that salary is the main factor, where 38% of IT professionals would leave their company for a higher salary. When IT professionals were asked if they felt their salary was competitive, about half said their salary is competitive, but 38% felt their salary was not equal to market rate, with the remainder being unsure. Additionally, it seems many employers recognize that this is an issue and have found that nearly 2/3 of employers had to increase salaries outside of their budget ranges to attract and hire the talent they need for their organizations in 2018. So, number 2 reason, career progression and development, with 18% of employers saying they would leave their company for career progression. But this is still much less of a concern than it was for the salary increases. The good news is more and more employers are recognizing the importance of paid training when it comes to upskilling talent and improving retention. However, 93% of employees are still upskilling on their own time. Clearly, this is an opportunity for employers to support current staff in their training and career progression. So how can employers use this information and other strategies to attract and retain talent? Let's start by talking about attracting talent. So this list shows IT employers say they are attracting top talent, and it's pretty telling. The number 1 answer is company culture. This is a good thing. You want to attract people to your culture to know what it's like to work for you. In fact, I'm surprised only about half of employers say that they're doing this. Next, we see salary, benefits, and flexible work options. These are all important aspects to showcase meeting market rate and salaries and offering sought-after benefits are critical attraction tools. However, there are some key elements that a lot of employers are missing. Only 30% are promoting career progression, and only 25% offer training and development, which we know is a critical attraction tool, as well as growing our own talent and building an internal pipeline. And finally, 17% of employers are doing nothing to make their companies more attractive, thus making it difficult to attract and retain talent in a highly competitive market. So we've just reviewed what most companies are doing to attract talent. Let's explore channels employers are using and what methods are working. So when it comes to what methods employees are using, job boards, career pages on the company website, and employee referrals are most common. But what do employers say are actually most effective? Employee referrals and internal promotions are most effective hiring channels. While this is great news for employers, the problem with this channel is that it doesn't address the ongoing skills shortage, which only worsens each year. It will become increasingly difficult to fill in specialist roles and tap a wider talent pool that continues to decrease. Social media also made it to the list this year, which is great news. Companies are becoming more savvy in attracting talent through the use of social media challenges, such as social media channels such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. These channels are great ways to showcase your company culture and accomplishments, build brand awareness, and engage followers. So how effective is the most common approach? You'll recall that 84% of employers are using job boards as the most common recruitment method. However, only 25% of those employers say it's effective. Many employers are not successful in reaching the right people through those job boards. Instead, while waiting for people to come to them, you need to proactively find and engage potential candidates to build a pipeline of talent. This is why proactive methods such as contacting candidates through LinkedIn and/or hiring specialist recruiters are extremely effective. All right, so let's take a snapshot of what most employers are doing to find candidates, but could there be spots in your hiring process where companies are losing qualified candidates? We asked candidates what challenges they most often face in their job search, and there are 3 top responses. 37% said lengthy hiring processes are an issue. and it's something that we see all too often. Good candidates don't stay on the market for long, so if your process is taking months or weeks instead of days, you could miss out on top talent. Lengthy hiring processes also tend to inhibit timely communication, and oftentimes candidates will lose interest and will move on to the next best opportunity. Making sure you're communicating at every stage and setting realistic expectations for candidates. Unconscious bias could be affecting nearly a third of your applicants. A couple of diverse hiring practices could help you tap into overlooked talent pool. Look at your hiring process and see if there are opportunities to introduce things like blind resume review and to help you become more savvy. And finally, the lack of relevant roles typically comes back to the mismatch between candidate skills and employer needs. There are some great people looking for jobs who just don't have the exact experience being sought. Again, where possible when hiring full-time, I would encourage you to hire for potential and train up, because that will help you close some of the internal knowledge gaps and build your internal pipeline. Okay. So we spotted a few opportunities in our insights from the survey to better align employers with job seekers. We'll take a look at each of those. When you're trying to attract the best and brightest, emphasize the career opportunities available. It's the second top reason ambitious people leave their jobs, following salaries, as we mentioned earlier. I think a lot of employers are put off by the idea of career growth because they think it's about a focus on promotion and salary increases. I would encourage you to think beyond these tired cliches, and because it's not really what most people are looking for when they talk about progression. Most people are looking for genuine opportunities to learn new things and increase their level of responsibility. To that end, continue focusing on upskilling your staff. You can also introduce programs such as mentorship, job shadowing, lunch and learns to make the most of your existing resources in your organization. This has two benefits. One, you're offering the professional development that people are looking for, and two, you're keeping the knowledge in your organization, making sure it's passed on to your future company leaders. Finally, target the candidates you're looking for. Career growth is most important to junior and intermediate candidates, most of whom are Gen Y. So when advertising for these types of roles, it's especially important to emphasize career growth opportunities. So next, IT employers, we found that IT employers are really emphasizing benefits to attract candidates. But are they getting it right? Let's look at what benefits employers think are most important. Not a lot of surprises here. Ability to work from home, health benefits, flexible hours, and 401k, and round out the list, time off. However, here's what candidates and employees say they value. Surprisingly, there's a lot of misalignment. Employers are underestimating the importance of something like paid sabbatical, an on-site child care, or a child care type subsidy, in which only 4% of employers offer this benefit. So you could be ticking a lot of boxes with the items mentioned above, but if you're looking for a key differentiator, offer and promote paid sabbatical, on-site child care, and potentially even sign-on bonuses. So what can you do better to align with candidate and employee expectations? Our first suggestion is to simply talk to your employees, what it is they want or what they find important. A company-wide survey could be very useful to gain insights on what you need to help your organization prioritize in terms of areas that might show most dissatisfaction or where there's a call for the biggest push for change. If you're not already doing exit interviews, for instance, for employees and contingent staff, start by adding that to your offboarding processes so that you can find specific areas of improvement. Again, I suggest using all your resources to determine market expectations and candidate priorities. The guide that you will have available to you is a good starting point, and our recruitment consultants talk to thousands of full-time and contract IT candidates a year, so they have a lot of frontline knowledge of what IT professionals are looking for. Finally, when you are making changes, prioritize those most wanted benefits first. Making a big deal about introducing certain things that are not on their top priority list won't help if all your employees really want something like more time off. So find out what your employees want, find out what the market wants, and then incorporate those into your plans. And where possible, working with a staffing provider that offers benefits, because they will have better retention of great people when it comes to contingent labor. So how can you reach a lot of people in the right experience and interests? There are going to be 3 points here, but they all work together. So think about the things, ways that you can incorporate all 3 of these to maximize the ability to attract the right talent for your organization. Number 1, build out your network. The more followers or connections, the greater your reach. Social media is the best tool we have right now to target specific audiences. Number 2, sharing the right content on a consistent basis will draw and hold your audience's attention. So if you want to attract project managers, for instance, you can just share jobs, or you should also be sharing local news, opinions on what's happening in your industry, and projects that are contributing to your company's goals and objectives. If you are looking for contractors, promote the new technology you're working with and success stories from current and previous contractors that have worked within your organization. You want to be seen as a good source of information. And number 3, while you're bringing them in with this great information, you also want to demonstrate that you're a great place to work. Share company wins, promotions, new start. So when you have a job opening, people are already interested in your company and have an impression of what it's like to work for you. In summary, growing your social media reach, sharing relevant content on a consistent basis, and promoting your company culture are a great formula for attracting talent you want and need for your organization. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll turn you back over to Dave.
Great. Thanks, Connie, for the great run-through of the report's results. So those are our key findings and recommendations. I'll do a brief recap and then show you what actions you can take today to start making some improvements. So overall, we're looking at another hugely optimistic year. Employers are very confident in the economy and business activity. However, there are key recruitment challenges that are facing all employers in the U.S. market today. Again, to recap, the skill shortage is impacting productivity and profits. So again, this is not just an annoyance or something that's conceptual anymore. The skill shortage is real, and it is actually hurting businesses today. Training and development isn't being prioritized like it should be. If we're ever going to get out of the skills crisis, then training and development has to be on the agenda, and it's everyone's responsibility to contribute. And finally, spending on salary for new hires has taken precedence over upskilling existing staff. Again, while this is a short-term fix, it won't help grow the talent pool in the long run. So here are some things that you can do today. First off, if you're not in touch with the market and what current salaries and the competitive market looks like today, highly encourage you to request a copy of the salary guide. Make sure that you are in fact paying market rate or looking to pay market rate for people you're looking to attract to your business. Assess your current training programs. Where can these be enhanced to support career growth and opportunities for people within your organization today? And finally, promote growth and training plans when hiring. Consider building this into your value proposition. Key factor, again, for the long-term hiring plans for your business. So that marks the end of our findings and recommendations. You can request a copy of the report at hayes.com/resources/2019-salary guide. We'll leave this up here for a minute. This is just a snippet of our findings. Please download the report. Lots of great information in there. We thank you for all your time and attention today. I'll open the floor up now to any questions that you may have. If you haven't submitted them already, please do so through the chat function. We'll block out several minutes now to answer any questions. Okay, first question. So we're trying to review our IT function to keep up with new technologies. We've talked a lot today about training. It would be good to know, when do you train? What would be a lot of training required for some new roles? When do you recommend recruiting new talent versus training existing people? Great question. So there's several factors that go into that. One is, how long is this going to be a need? How many resources are you going to need with this skill set, and for what period of time? If this is going to be an ongoing initiative within your business, maybe a change in your technology stack, then I would highly encourage you to look at training your own people versus continually going out to the market. Second thing is to do a market evaluation yourself, right? Either through your own internal recruiting team or through a recruiter. What does the market look like for that skill set? How readily available are resources? What do the salary ranges look like for those resources? Does that fit into your budget? These are all factors that would come into play. So I think you would want to say, first, is this going to be a long-term need? Am I better training people now that I know will be around for the long run? How competitive is the market for this skill set? How accessible is the talent for this skill set? And does the money work? Those are all kind of parts of the equation that you need to factor in. And then from there, you make your decision on, is it better to go out to the market and hire someone on a one-off basis or train your own people for the long run? Great question. Okay, looks like next question. How do we create a cohesive team when we use a lot of contractors and many people work from home? Yeah, this is really an interesting one, and will continue to become a bigger and bigger issue as the workforce becomes more flexible, becomes more contingent, people are working from home. So how do you create and maintain that culture while having an environment where people are doing that? Let's say there are a few things that you could do to alleviate that problem. One is to do proper onboarding so that everybody, including contractors, understands company culture, expectations, and responsibilities. That's like a given for full-time employees, and most companies will do that and do that well. But we see it all the time where contractors are not a part of that, so they don't feel like they're part of the organization. So they're kind of this thing off to the side that are doing these projects, or they're working from home. And oftentimes they are integrated into the full-time employees, but in a way that is very task-oriented, and they don't feel a connection to the business. So I'd say proper onboarding is very, very important. Another thing, and we do this a lot within our own business internally, is to make the best use of video conferencing. It's easy to have phone calls, but phone calls cannot connect to someone as well on a phone call as you can on a video conference. So whenever possible, use video conferencing. It's easy, it's readily available, and again, it creates a stickiness or connectivity between your people that are working at home, either full-time or contract resources, and the people that are in the office every day. And then I would say that you should also have some type of regularly scheduled meeting. It's some reason for the group to get together, right? All the people that are working on flexible schedules, work from home, people that are in the office every day, come up with some meeting with a purpose and an agenda that matters and is meaningful and is a good use of everyone's time, but on a regular basis so that everyone has a reason to get together, a human interaction that more than anything else, that is the connectivity to a business. It's the relationship that you have with your peers, your boss, your subordinates. If you can get everybody in the room together, that will go a long way towards helping to build that culture, even if the person's only in the office one day a week or no days a week. So there's a few thoughts, but a really good question and something that will become increasingly important for companies as we move forward.
So here's another question that just came through, another great one. It's hard to compete with bigger companies and bigger budgets. How can we differentiate from the big names to get really good candidates? Great question. We hear this one a lot. A lot of times smaller employers have an advantage in that they can be more flexible and more agile in how they craft what they offer to their employees and candidates. You have the ability to potentially offer something to individuals that they specifically want, and have crafted specifically to what will keep them and retain them over the long run as well. The other thing is, I think smaller companies, everybody's using social media, and a lot of folks use social media to check you out before they ever go down the path of either coming in for an interview, applying for work with your company, and that sort of thing. Use social media to create a brand that shows why somebody would want to work for you. Getting some testimonials from your current staff will go a long way. Show that you're using cutting-edge technology. That's really important to the technologists in the community. And show that maybe you have career paths or opportunities for development when employed within your organization, or that you have the best-in-class reward system or some sort of recognition system as well. Whatever it takes to make your company a little bit different and to stand out amongst the rest will help you attract and retain the best talent in the market today. And in addition is probably having an in-depth understanding of what the market is like, as Dave mentioned, really doing your homework on the front end so that you know what to do, how to balance that in with what you can afford from a salary perspective. So, okay, another question that just came in. I know lots of people look for new jobs in January. How do I stand out against them? As with any brand, key is to know your value proposition. What is different for your company versus others, and making sure that you're clearly in touch with your staff. So you know what to offer your individuals, and make sure that you know what's going on in the marketplace so that you can stay in front of it, and create retention through understanding that market and being proactive about market salaries, what's attracting people to organizations, and that sort of thing. If you know now that you'll be hiring, start preparing ahead of time. It's really important to engage with recruiters, your recruiting staff, or external recruiters ahead of time to help educate them on what it is you're looking for. We're operating in a tight talent market, skill shortages in a lot of key areas, so it's important to stay ahead of the curve by doing your homework early, educating who's going to be recruiting for you, and leveraging some great resources, social media, like LinkedIn, and that sort of thing. A lot of folks cited referrals. Really start working with your referral base early on to make sure that you're tapping into a community that helps to attract people to your organization. Great question.
Yeah, great, great points there, Connie. I would just add to that, or emphasize to that, if you're looking to hire in January, what's the best way to stand out? Start in December. Everyone kind of has the same mindset of wait till after the new year, and that's when we're going to open positions, and that's when we're going to start looking for people. Well, as that question is appropriately asking, like a lot of people do the exact same thing. So oftentimes, especially contractors, 12/31 is a big end date for a lot of contracts for budgetary reasons. That those people are starting to keep their eye open for jobs. I mean, quite honestly, as early as now. Right? They're already scoping the market. They may not be active. They may not have their resume posted. They may not be updating their profile on LinkedIn yet, but they're starting to scope the market. So if you want to get a head start on everyone, start looking in December. We have worked with many clients through the years that have used that as like a philosophy, and it's worked out very well because that is typically a dead time. So great question. So good. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here. We don't have any other additional questions. I would just summarize by saying, like, in the end, I think what we've seen here from the results and the report is that there is no magic bullet. Right? Salary is a component. Culture and your employer value proposition is a component. training and development of your staff is a component. It's a holistic thing. It somewhat is dependent on the market that you're in, the skill sets that you're looking to hire for, your position in the market within your space, right? So a lot of different factors, but we can all agree that the skill shortage is real and increasing. And that at some point, I believe that a key factor is going to be a real commitment to companies, employers, developing their own people. In the long run, that will be the answer that will help us. It's not an overnight fix, but there's no way to provide an overnight fix at this point. So if we can commit as businesses and employers to taking someone with the majority of the skill set and upskilling them, I think we'll be a lot better off, and we'll be able to close the gap a little bit on the skill shortage. So as we said, this is just a snippet of the information that's contained in the guide. Please download the report. We appreciate all your time and attention and questions today, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.